Well, hey guys, welcome back to Let's Create with Alex Blake. I'm your host, Alex Blake, and today we have a guest on the pod, and she's not just a guest, she's actually my friend, and she's wonderful. Her name is Lindsay. Lindsay, say hey.
Hey everybody.
It's so funny having friends like real life friends on the podcast because I'm like, how do I introduce you? Like, yes, you're a photographer. Yes, you're amazingly talented. And yes, everyone needs to go follow you. But also like, you're my friend Lindsay, you know?
Just me. Just Lindsay and Alex chatting.
Just Lindsay. Literally. No, I have known Lindsay. I was going to say a year number, but like I actually don't know. Like I would have to do the math. But we've known each other since like high school. Right?
Yeah.
Or college, something like that. Yeah. So
yeah,
we go way back, guys.
Way
because
back.
we're old now.
Okay.
Which is kind of crazy.
Easy. Maybe a little bit.
I mean,
yeah. We've known each other a long time.
I'm older than you though, so.
Yes.
But really, I'm the old one. It's fine.
Yep, that's true.
But anyway, well, today I want to talk a little bit before we actually get into like the topic because I want everyone to like know who you are and kind of be introed to you and all the things. But the topic for today is what nobody prepared us for going into full-time photography. And the reason I really wanted to talk to Lindsay about this is because we have like similar-ish stories, which is just like a cool fun fact about Lindsay and I, especially because we've known each other for so long. It's cool to see like how our lives have just weirdly been parallel in some ways. So that's kind of fun. But yeah, Lindsay, share kind of your like photography journey, your story and stuff with everyone.
Sure. So like Alex said, we met in high school. So if you know Alex's story, then that probably gives you a little bit of context. I'm also from Georgia, right outside the Atlanta area. Me and Alex actually met because we were going to the same youth group at our church. And where our stories get really parallel is we were both just super involved in our church, kind of were doing our own thing. And eventually we both ended up on staff at that church. And so we met just as like high school kids, college kids bebopping around, and then both ended up on staff, not really in the photography world at all. I think I was more so with my job. Like I worked on the marketing team. And so my job was, I was overseeing all of our social media marketing. So where my job had a lot to do in the creative space and it did have a thing with like, I had a big hand in photography. It was never like my job where I wouldn't have thought that I was going to do it full time. And then at the same time you were there. And so we would just bond over it. And I, growing up, was just like the friend with a camera. I was the one, if you took a picture on your iPhone, my friend sent it to me to edit. I was giving people captions for their posts. And I had my parents' camera and I would just go like take random pictures of my friends. And I always loved social media. I loved marketing. And so when I had the opportunity to work at the church, a big part of my job was taking pictures at all of like our events and on Sundays. So my first like real dabble into the photography space was live experience. And the church we went to, it's a big church. And so we had big events, lots of people at it, lots of stuff going on. And so it was fast paced and it was fun. And I loved it. Like I loved the aspect of learning about a camera. I loved the aspect of learning about how to edit photos and what makes a good photo. And because of that, similar times, I think you were in it a little bit longer, we both kind of on the side of our jobs were like, we do this for fun, just on the side.
Yeah.
Fun fact, the first wedding I ever second shot was with you.
That's crazy. I don't think I realized that. I mean, I'm sure I realized it at the time, but I guess I forgot.
In hindsight, but
you're welcome. I really gave you the introduction.
I'm here because of Alex, but we were both,
Honestly,
dabbling.
Just give me all the credit.
Yes. We were both just like dabbling on the side of photography and I loved my job at the church. And then I had an opportunity to move to where I live now. I live on the beautiful Georgia coast of St. Simon's Island. And I had an opportunity to move down here. And I was like, I think I could do it full time. Like, I think I could do photography full time. And so literally just packed up and moved away from my job and my family and my friends and was like, let's go start a business somewhere I've never lived before. Which also, again, with Alex's story, very similar for her move to Charleston. So here I am 2 years later.
And it was also like the same timeline too, which is what's crazy about it. I think you moved somewhere around like 6 months after we moved to Charleston. Yeah. Something like that, because I remember one time we went to go back and visit and you were like, I have to tell you something. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it's so cool because now we're even closer, like we're like, 3 hours away, which is cool. So we have the same weather a lot. But I feel like that's what we always like pipe in and randomly say in our group chat with all our friends. Is like talking about our weather.
All of our friends live across the country and they're like cold and it's snowing and we're like, I'm at the beach. You're like, what? We're like, it's sunny and 75 here. Or this week we got both got snow.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, or this week when we randomly got snow, but it's all gone now. Is yours? Really? That's crazy. Okay, we definitely it stuck for a day, but then the next day just
Yeah,
like
no.
sun came out and it was yeah, which
It
was
probably
crazy. But
flurried for like
anyway,
30 minutes. But yeah. Anyway, now
okay.
yeah, I live
Well,
at the
that's
beach
fun at
and
least, like snow on the beach, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, it's cool to think just like how similar our stories are. And I feel like there's pieces of that where like many photographers can listen to that and see themselves in it too. You know, like this was never your plan. You just had a passion and a hobby, and then you jumped
Hmm.
into full time. And I think the really unique thing about our story in our journey to full time, like the biggest piece of it that makes it unique, is the fact that we moved at the same time as going full time. Both of
Hmm.
us separately chose to move to a place where we know no one
Hmm.
and decided that that would be the good time to fulfill our dreams of being a full-time photographer, which is
Correct.
wild. And there's so many things that both of us have learned like along the way, and things that maybe we would have done differently, and like there's a ton of conversations that we could have. But I think one of the like biggest pieces of conversations that can hit so many different photographers as they're listening is the one of like the things that no one prepared us for. So like let's talk about them, and in hopes that like some of these are kind of funny and some of them are really more real, but like in hopes that like whoever's listening to this, if you're thinking about going full time, prepare yourself through our topic of conversation today.
Right.
Like
Right.
hear what we're saying.
Take some notes.
But yeah, we haven't heard each other, so I just told Lindsay to come prepared and that we would yap it out. So, you know, we might have the same ones. Who knows? I don't know.
Yapping it out is
We'll
what we
see.
do best. So it'll
Honestly
be
true.
great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? We'll do it
I can
like
go.
one by one, you know?
Okay.
Okay.
I can go first. Okay, so the first thing, and this is probably the most important thing that I'm still learning, and you hear it all the time, but I just feel like, every year, every season, or every few months, I like relearn this. And it's just about the importance of trusting yourself in the process. I obviously trusted myself enough to say, yeah, I think I could make money if I moved to the beach and started a photography business. But there's so many layers to that, especially because
Yeah.
like you just mentioned, I started as it was like a hobby on the side. And so half the time, wasn't charging people, or I was charging like basically nothing. And I would have people tell me how much they, loved my work and how they'd encourage me. But you have to like trust yourself enough in your art. You have to trust that people want to support you. You have to trust your pricing, and you have to trust like your brand. And that was something I think that was hard for me, is within imposter syndrome, is being like, gosh, no one's going to want to pay this to book me. Like, I should just do it for free. Like, or it's like, oh, I should just cut my prices in half just to book something. And it's like, the longer that
Yeah.
it takes for you to get over that, the longer it's going to take for you to feel like successful in your business. And like, you just have to trust that, like, if you trust yourself enough to go full time in this, like, you have to trust that people want to support you, and that people will support you, and that people love your work and they love your art and they want to work with you. But if you can't trust yourself in that, like, you can't expect other people to
Mm,
trust you with their project either.
yeah. That's really good. And I feel like you have to remind yourself, like, you don't have to be perfect in that, but
Yeah.
like, if you can trust yourself 80% of the way, then for like
Hmm.
the 20% of things that you can't trust yourself in, you need to be self-aware enough to know what those places are in yourself and
Hmm.
in your business to go find help for them. You know,
Yes.
and that's why you have like mentorships or business
Hmm.
coaches or people that
Hmm.
you can reach out to and talk to. Like, depends on what the things are, what that 20% is. But
Yeah.
if you're like 30% on trusting yourself and then the rest of it, you're like, I don't know if I can do it, then maybe you're not ready to go full time. So I do love that you're saying that, even just like in the very beginning, because it's so important. Like, self assess and then maybe even ask people that are really close to you that you trust around
Hmm.
you, but they have to be the right voices. You know, they can't
Yeah.
help you to justify everything, and they also
Hmm.
can't shoot you down on everything. Like, they have to be
Yes.
like the perfect voices to speak into it and tell you the truth. But yeah, I 100% agree with that, Lindsay. Like,
Hmm. And I
trusting
think that,
yourself and that you can do it.
yeah. And I think that is like a good point to what you made, where it's like, it doesn't mean never. It's just like, when you're evaluating, like, is this my time to go full time? It's like, do I trust myself
Hmm.
enough to do it? And like, that's from experience of like when I went full time. Like, I don't know, looking back at me 2 years ago, I probably wasn't ready to go full time, but I just like dove in and had to figure it out. And I'm like, I would
Yeah.
have made my life a little bit easier if, I had like made sure that, like, do I have like the basic trust that I think, believe in myself, and then everything else, like you
Yeah.
said, like, I can find people to help me like trust in different parts. So I'm like, does the majority of me trust that I can be successful in this? And if there's like, if you can't do that, it's going to be hard for you to build from that.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
takes time.
That's really, really good. Okay. So, speaking of talking to people, the
Hmm.
number one thing that I said that nobody prepared me for when going full time in photography was how much I'm going to talk to myself, which I know I sound crazy, guys. Okay. So, go with me on this. But if
It's
you're full
funny.
time, you know what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
it's because literally you are working all day alone until you go
Hmm.
to a shoot. Like you are by yourself in this industry unless you intentionally go out and make community and make friends. And that's a big reason that I started something like Photo Camp, even, and just like want to create community and little pockets of community within our industry. And even just like online, the way that I like try to have a presence online is very like friendship forward and community forward. Cause
Hmm.
I think that's something in our industry that like is very much lacking because we work from home alone, you know?
Hmm.
And like I said, like obviously at shoots, you get to have that people interaction. But both Lindsay and I, we were talking about like the church that we grew up at and then got to work at and everything. Like we were on teams of people. We had very collaborative jobs with people where we were constantly talking, constantly like interacting with people. And there's a sweet spot to that where like I actually love working from home. Like there's a piece of this that I absolutely love,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't love it as much if I hadn't found, okay, I'm realizing that I'm alone a lot and I need to find
Hmm.
community. Now I
Hmm.
have a good balance, I would say.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know if you felt that or
Oh
not,
yeah.
especially you as an extrovert. I could see you being
Yeah.
like, wait, now I'm alone.
Oh, when I moved here, I so I work like very part-time at a coffee shop, literally because I was going in every single day and I was sitting there to
Yeah.
work because like you said, we worked at a big church with big staff and like we would see people all the time. I'm very extroverted. And I also I got to work on a team of creatives. So it was like extra filling for me
Yeah.
where it was like my job was creative and I got to work with like-minded people. So like anything that I thought of, like I could go pop in anyone's office and be like, what about this cool idea? To then like I have my dog who is just hearing me yap. And so I
Just Georgie.
just Georgie. And so I was going into a coffee shop every single day to work, and one of my friends was there, and she was like, "You honestly should just start picking up shifts so you can just come get coffee here." And I was like, "That's a good
That's
idea."
so
And like,
funny.
I literally had to do that when I first moved down here because I just needed something to like talk to people, like just to be social. Like I had to force myself
Yeah.
to like be around other people again because that's also how I feel creative. And so I was feeling like
Yeah.
bored and creatively drained, and yeah, that's
Yep.
funny.
100% agree.
Yep.
Okay. What's your second one?
My next one I had was admin. I knew that there was going to be like,
Yeah. My second one, okay, I said it a different way, but my second one was photography is like 20% of the job.
yeah, no, literally. Like,
Yeah,
I,
because literally, like, I had the same exact thing, like admin work.
oh my gosh, I like consider myself pretty organized compared to Alex, probably like not. But in general, like, I knew going into it, like, there's things like maintaining your booking software, like whether it's Honeybook or whatever, like keeping things on top of that, emails, phone calls, a calendar. Like I knew all of that stuff, but it's just like the amount of stuff you don't realize when it's like when it grows, like when your bookings grow, the amount of admin work grows. And it's so much other stuff that like I didn't think about when I was part-time, where it's like the insurance for venues that I'm shooting at, or it's like all the different
Yeah.
conversations and phone calls to have with clients. And as I'm growing in a business and learning from people, you also learn like, oh, I should maybe schedule more calls prior to a shoot or session, or like, oh, this questionnaire would be helpful, or like having to go in and do like all of the, you know, automations and email templates and contract templates and updating your
Yeah.
website, like all this stuff that you think it's like, I'm a photographer frolicking down the beach with my camera, and it's like, no, I'm editing a contract for the ninth time today.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's so funny. No, that's literally exactly what I was going to say too. Like,
Hmm.
I sit here and I email for hours, is what
Hmm.
it feels like, you know? And I do love that you said, like, as your business grows, you have to do more admin work because I think
Hmm.
sometimes, like, you can think, like, well, if I'm doing this part time, then, like, it'll kind of stay the same and I just add on shooting. Like,
Hmm.
that's kind of what you think, right? Where it's like, I can
Yeah.
take on more shoots, but like you don't really think about how that also impacts your
Yeah.
admin work too and
Yeah.
how it impacts like how many emails or what you need to do within honeybook or you know stuff like
Hmm.
that. So because I am like a pretty organized person, like you said. Like I was very systemized even before because I had a full-time job, so
Hmm.
I started like really implementing systems into my business because of that. But they all had to change as I continued to grow and grow and grow and get more and more clients. So and I think like the thing that you don't think about is like how long it takes you to make the change in things.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do have a system, then you got to rework the whole system in order to do
Yeah.
it. So one little tip on that is that I typically take the slow season. For me, that's like November to January, usually February, I guess. November to January is a lot slower for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it's the same for you, Lindsay, because we're
Mm-hmm.
obviously in like similar areas. But
Yeah.
that's when I like rework systems for the next year. And that's just like a
Mm-hmm.
helpful rhythm for me. But if you don't think about that, then you're working with like really overwhelmed, tired, old, outdated systems. And you're going to also feel overwhelmed and tired.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yes.
how it's going to be. Um, yeah. But I also love you said something that made me think about this. But like, I think you said something about like consult calls or like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
actually is helpful where it never was before. And I think like that is something too that I've realized like you learn a lot from like mistakes that are made or like things that will happen where a client maybe is unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn from those things. And it's cool because you're able to have more clients when you're full time. So those things happen more at first. And you're a
Mm-hmm.
little bit like, oh no, am I supposed to do this? Like, wait, everyone's mad at me, you know, or like
No,
people
yes.
don't like my work or something like that. But really, it's like cool because it gives you the opportunity to solve things quicker versus if you're
Mm-hmm.
part time, you have less clients. So there's less people mad at you or like less
Yeah.
problems that happen.
Yeah.
And so it takes longer to actually grow your business to a place where it should be or could be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just kind of a cool little nugget of that. But
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay, I'll say my third one and then you can say your third one because I feel
Okay.
like I already talked about that one. Okay. Nobody prepared me for how weird it is when your hobby becomes your job, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. I feel like I talk about
It's
this once
like,
a week,
do you really? Okay. I can't
all
wait
the
to hear your
time.
thoughts on it. Cause like for me, I'm like, it's just like obviously I still love photography, but it took me a long time to figure out what my downtime for fun hobby is now that like photography just can't be that for me anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I love photography. I love content creation and all the things. And like there's maybe a different niche of photography that I could do that fills my cup, but like the things that I once were like this is what I do in my downtime is now this is what I do for work and I love it, but it changes like my life in a lot of ways. It changes the way my
Mm-hmm.
brain works. And like, I don't think anybody really talked to me about that before. And so I was just like, let's do it. But then
Yeah.
when I got tired for the first time, I was like, what do I do with this? Like, what creative hobby do I have? And I'm not good at all creative hobbies, you know?
Right. No, I understand that. I feel like I've had this conversation with people where I'm like, yeah, I turned my hobby into my full-time job and so far so good, but there are parts of it where it is that creative outlet. It's like, okay, now I need something else. Because even when I've tried to just be creative, of like, I will purposely try and do shoots that are just for fun. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that works. Sometimes it still feels like work because the workflow, like
Yeah.
process is the same. I still come in, I still have to offload, I
Yes.
still have to edit, and it can feel like muscle memory of
Yeah.
work and it doesn't feel as fun. So I have to like rewire that. But I agree, like I'm like a serial hobbyist now where I just am like, what should I try next? Like, to do something that's creative and something that's like not looking at my computer, not editing, not because now it's what was fun before making a mood board, making a Pinterest board, dreaming up, going
Yeah.
and looking up all this stuff used to be so fun for me. And now because my brain is like, and that's work, you need to set a boundary and do something else. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. Like, so I get that.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And it's like, it's not a bad thing. Like, we still very much enjoy it. Like, it's a beautiful thing that we enjoy what we do, you know? But it's also like, it just like changes your relationship with photography or changes your relationship with creating a mood board, for example, or whatever. Like, it's just different. And I still wouldn't change a thing. Like, I would do it. And
Right.
our friend Amanda actually asked me that. She was like, is this something I should actually do? Because what if I end up hating it? And I'm like, you won't. Like, you're not going to
Yeah.
resent it. I promise. It's just a different relationship
Yeah.
with photography.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay. What was your third one?
Okay, my third one is no one prepared me for how important it is to have community in the industry. We hear it all the time, like you throw around
Yeah.
like community over competition. And it's like, I think there's like the theory of that. And then I live it out every day with just like our friends, where I just think about, for me, especially, and I'm thinking in the sense of like going full time, like I'm still, I mean, I've only been doing it full time for 2 years. So specifically
Mm-hmm.
for me, having a community in the industry who's been in it longer than me because if like me and my friend who both, let's say at like the same time, we're like, let's go do full time and do this at literally the same day. It's like blind leading
Yeah.
the blind, where it's like and so how important it is to have people who've been in it longer. And then on that,
Right.
how important it is to like lean into it and like use that. Where I'm lucky, like because I knew you, I have had the opportunity to meet so many other people in the industry who have just been in it longer than me that I've been able to become friends with, who I otherwise wouldn't have been able to meet them. And just having that at like, I could, the other day I was like, I texted Megan, I had a question about like, what would you do in this situation? Or like, what, like a question about second shooting. And I'm like, she's been doing this longer than me. She's a great resource for me to
Yeah.
have. And I'm like, tap into that. Like, don't be scared to like make friends in the industry. Even like, don't let any kind of insecurity or don't be, nervous to reach out to people and like lean into it and ask for help. Like we are all in it together. We have
Yeah.
all been in this
That's right.
specific spot. And I think it's so easy to just try and look impressive and try and look, it's like, I just want to put out good content. I want to look like I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I will
Mhm.
be the first to be like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, how do I do this? And what should I do? And I think that's important because that's how you grow.
Yeah. No, that's so, so good. I feel like, yeah, I think you were just reminding me, like, sometimes I forget that, like, you met Preston and Cassidy and Megan, like, our friend group through coming to photo camp to do
No,
social
literally.
media. Cause that was like,
Yeah.
I literally like, yeah. And it was so funny because I was like I guess we weren't even friends with Cassidy yet. She was just coming to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was telling Megan and Preston, I'm like, you guys are going to love my friend Lindsay. And like Preston, I remember Preston being like, yeah, okay, we'll see. Like we'll see when she gets here. She's cool. And then like instantly you guys clicked
Yeah.
and I was like, yes, this
Look
makes
at
me
us
so
now.
happy. I felt so accomplished. And then
Yes.
now it's like, yeah, we literally like, I mean, it's like weird if we don't have a text that goes through on a day in our group
Mm-hmm.
chat, like
Mm-hmm.
at least every other day, at least. But like,
Yeah.
it's weird if there's not at least one.
Yeah. And if we don't have one, it's usually like, okay, like proof of life check in. What's everyone doing? Like just something
Yeah.
random. But
Like,
it's
is
just,
everyone okay? Yeah.
yeah. But like we hear all the time competition, like about having community and like friendships, but also like tapping into it. Like use your
Yeah.
friendships to help you grow. Like that's, a big part of it.
Yeah. I think it kind of goes right into like my next one because you were talking just about like it's okay to like not feel always like the best in the room or like on top of it
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. But my next one was that you don't ever feel official. Like no one prepared me that you don't ever feel official. And like the reason I
Mm-hmm.
say that is because like you never really feel like you've arrived. Like there's always a next mountain that you want to conquer. And maybe like when you look back, and I hope that when we look back, we can see that we've conquered things and that we've
Mm-hmm.
hit goals and that we've had really like amazing quarters and like all of these like business things that like are really cool or that we've just grown as a person. And definitely. But like you have to look back in order to see those things. If you're just like living life, a lot of the time, like you don't really like feel legit. Like you sometimes just feel like you're just still figuring it out. Like you're still like talking to chat GPT about stuff, like you're Googling things
Yeah.
or like you were saying, like texting in our group chat and being like, okay, wait, I have this client that's doing this. What do you guys think? Or like,
Yeah.
I've never done a shoot like this before. You have, let me ask you, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that's such a good resource for when you don't feel official. Like lean
Yes.
into your community, like Lindsay was saying.
Yeah. Oh,
But
that's so good. That's so
yeah,
real. Sometimes it just still feels like we're like playing pretend.
yeah,
It kind of goes back to the hobby where it's
literally.
like, it's like, what do you do for work? And it's like, oh, I'm a photographer. It's like, what? It's like,
Yeah,
I'm a photographer. It's like, yeah, that's back to like, you have to trust yourself where it's like, it's a real job. We pay
I
taxes. It's real.
promise. I promise I pay my bills with this.
Yeah. Like, yeah,
So
I get a
funny.
paycheck.
It's so funny. I just posted a reel today on Instagram that was like de-influencing kind of. And it was literally like all of the stuff. I was like looking around in my office this morning and I was thinking about what reel I was gonna make. And I was like, all of my stuff is used. Like all of my stuff I
Yeah.
like somehow like conned my way into getting somehow. Like
Yeah.
everything is free around me. Not everything, but like so much of it. And so I was like, I'm just gonna post a reel about like all of these things that I got for super cheap or like secondhand or something like that. Just to show people like you don't have to have like top of the line stuff to be a professional photographer. And
Right.
I think that that like lends itself to like sometimes you don't feel official, but like you are. And like
Yeah.
you need to walk in that. Like if you are paying
Yes.
your bills through full-time photography, you are official. You are a
Hmm.
professional. Like that's really,
Yeah.
really cool. But you don't have to like look like what everyone else looks like on Instagram to do that, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. Okay, my next one that nobody prepared me going full time photography. No one prepared me for how much in person networking I would have to do just like in the wild. So like there's so much emphasis on like building your website and like having a good social media presence, but especially, and
Yeah.
I'm curious, Alex, how much you feel this too, moving to a new place. And so much like
Yeah.
I moved, especially moving to locations that are pretty saturated with photography. Like we live in destinations. There's a lot of photographers down here. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who will come visit and they will find you online, and that's how like I've got a lot of bookings over the past couple of years, is people seeing like where I'm located and then booking through that. But the amount of in-person networking that I've done that has helped me grow my business is huge, and that's like a scary thing to do. It kind of goes into what you were just talking about of like having to be like own it and be confident in yourself, where you're talking to someone and they're like, well, what do you do? And it's like, well, I'm a photographer, and like presenting
Yeah.
yourself that way, and then people want to book you when they meet you. Because I mean, I'm we all talk about the client experience and how important it is, and it's like that a big part of being a photographer is how does someone interact with you and how do they feel when they're interacting with you, and that's how you can get a great gallery and have a successful shoot. And so if you're meeting someone at the grocery store, at a coffee shop, or wherever, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, like that interaction could be the reason they book you or recommend you to someone else. And like just having to
Mm-hmm.
be to do that, and now I feel like I have to be more prepared. Like the first couple times, I remember being like, "Oh yeah, I'm a photographer," and they're like, "Oh, where can I find you?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like it's like just having almost like having your spiel ready and like being confident, like this is
Yeah.
what I do. I would love to work with you. Like here's where you can find my information. Here's a business card. I don't know if people in
Yeah.
Charleston like business cards. People down here love a business card. They're like, "Do you have a card?" And I'm like,
That's so funny.
I remember my mom being like, "You need business cards." I was like, "I got an Instagram." And then like my first like couple months down here, people would be like, "Oh, do you have a card?" And I'm like, "All right, I'll go get one. I'll go get this made."
Yeah, no, that happened to me too, actually. So I totally know what you're talking about with
I
the
was
card
not
thing. I was like
prepared.
unprepared for that. No,
Yeah.
I know. I was like, oh, I guess I'll go to Alpha Graphics and make one. Like,
Shout out
so
Alpha
funny.
Graphics.
Um, shout out to Alpha Graphics. Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think like something that you said is really cool because you're not talking about network events. You're talking
Mm-mm.
about being a person who can network, like
In the
in your
wild.
day to day life. Like you said, yeah, in the wild. Like you said, like go to the grocery store and you've
Mm-hmm.
got your network hat on. You know, like you
Mm-hmm.
are always able to pitch yourself, but it needs to be in a way where like you're just being you know, because people can tell when you're pitching and we don't need all that, you know? Like when people feel like you're salesy, they just feel like, ooh, like they want to go away from you a little bit, you know what I mean? And so I think being smart with it, but I 100% agree with you. And what I was actually thinking about is one of my top clients of 2024 and 2025, yeah, both years. I was making sure that I was correct when I was saying
Mm-hmm.
that, but was an apartment complex property management. And I worked with multiple apartment complexes from this property management. But the reason that I'm connected with them is because I lived in their property when Zach and I
Mm-hmm.
first moved. And we lived there, and I got to meet the manager of my apartment complex. And most people would think, like, yeah, you're just meeting them. But like, I was personable. We talked about how I was a
Mm-hmm.
photographer. And of course, like, I didn't pitch myself in that conversation of
Right.
like, so if the apartment complex ever needs photos, you know, like,
Right.
no, not at all. But because of the way I presented myself, I was the
Mm-hmm.
person that when that manager, got a promotion and she now oversaw multiple
Yep.
properties, she was like, wait, I know a photographer. Let me reach
Mm-hmm.
out to her. And
Exactly.
so, like, being memorable and personable in someone's mind as the go to photographer. And a lot of the time, what'll happen with me, and I'm sure this happens to you too, Lindsay, it's like there are people that I'll meet, especially in this new season of my life where I would live in a house in a
Mm-hmm.
very like great community oriented family friendly neighborhood. I meet a lot of families and I don't
Yes.
really provide family photos,
Yes.
but I'm the photographer in their mind. And so they reach out to me. So also being prepared, like if you are somebody who is very niched down, being prepared with what your answer is for someone.
Mm.
So is it that you have a running list of photographers for these types of people that you commonly meet that you can refer to? Or is it that you need to change your business model and
Mm-hmm.
do something more like I have with like an associate team that can help you cover the things that maybe aren't your natural go to or whatever, because it's who you're naturally meeting at the grocery store or whatever in
Yep.
the wild. So
Yes.
I love that one, Lindsay.
Yep.
Okay, my next one,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with like the weirdness of like hobby becoming a job. But my next one is that burnout can still exist even when you love what you do.
Yes.
That's
I could
deep.
almost argue that it could happen like
Really? That's interesting.
because I feel like when
Yeah.
you burn out when
I'm
it's
like
something
thinking
you
about it.
hate, like imagine if you're doing a job that you hate, burnout just feels like hatred of your job. So it's just like it's like,
Sure.
oh, I'm burned out, but it's because I don't like what I'm doing. Burnout, like when it's something you love, worse in the sense, like maybe not like to the extremity, but like I feel like it would be harder to overcome it because it's like, oh, I'm burning out in something I love to do. Like this is harder for me to like face versus like hated that job
Yeah,
anyway, so I don't care that I burned out. But when it's
that's
something you
true.
like, it's
Yeah.
difficult.
And not only something that you like, but also something that you built, you know,
Hmm.
like you're building the life that you want. And
Hmm.
part of that is the job that you've created. Like you have created what your job description is when you own your
Hmm.
business. That's kind of
Hmm.
crazy to think about, you know? So I definitely think like, I just feel like loving what you do, loving photography doesn't cancel out you ever being tired or needing rest or needing a break.
Hmm.
But I also think like just because you feel burnout, maybe your response to it doesn't get to be what it always is in other positions, like what Lindsay was saying. Like you were
Hmm.
saying, like, you just leave the job, whatever, like,
Right.
like I hated that job anyway. Bye. But like in this, it's like, okay, how can you rework your job description for a few months to
Hmm.
give yourself and allow yourself like breathe time?
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, you also have to be careful because like that breathe time affects your finances and you have to
Yeah.
kind of know that a little bit. But
Yeah.
but it's not like a bad thing that you experience tiredness even at a heavier level
Hmm.
when it's like you're in a job that you love still. Like it's not a bad
Yeah.
thing. It's just something that I think is important for people to know. Like you're still yourself,
Hmm.
even though you have a new job. And so
Yeah.
things that you deal with in current job, you're probably going to deal with in this too.
Yeah. And it's all about boundaries. I also think when it's something that you've built, it's when you burn out in a job where you're working for someone else, it's easier to point blame. And you could be like, oh, it's the organization, it's the job description they gave me, it's like it's whatever. Like you could almost put blame on someone else. When it's your own business, it's like
Yeah.
the consequences of your own actions. It's like if I'm burning out, it's like, okay, where did I overbook?
Yep.
Where do I not have systems set up? Where am I not taking my like myself into account? I'm my own
Yeah.
boss. So if I'm burning out, it's like I could have control over that. Like I can control what my schedule looks like. I can
Yeah.
control what I'm saying yes to. So it comes with, it also comes with responsibility, but that's also a cool thing because it's like easier to fix. It's like you don't have to quit. You can be like, all
Yep.
right, let's readjust and
Yeah.
rewire
Let's
some
change
things.
things up. Yeah. I love that. Okay. You want to do one more?
Yes, do you want to do it or do you want mine?
Yep.
Okay. Mine, that's perfect because my last two kind of go hand in hand. It was no one prepared me for like how to prepare for slow season and how to prepare for busy season. And so, slow season, I started my
That's
business.
good.
Yes, I started my business in slow season. I packed up my life, moved away from every client I've ever had, moved to the beach in January, knowing nobody. So like slow season for me was like I think it was like 3 months before I got a booking down here, and it was probably someone I just knew that I was like, please, I just got to tag. I need to post that I'm here. But no one prepared like
Yeah.
preparing for both, not just in the sense of like, oh, it's slow season, it's busy season, let me manage my calendar, but like preparing financially is an obvious one, but also preparing mentally for both. So preparing for slow season, I think now it's talked about more where it's like it's slow season, that's when I can do all my admin stuff, that's when I update my contracts, I redo my email templates, I organize for the year, I'm on top of all my brides and my clients, like I'm my A game. But busy season, like I had a really busy fall and I was
Yeah.
mentally drained after, and I remember coming back down here after having like barely being home and being exhausted, and I'm like, I didn't prepare myself for my busy season. And so like I need to prepare
Right.
myself for busy season, what that's going to look like. I'm going to be tired, I'm going to miss out on things. Like if I'm going to say yes to every booking, I'm going to miss out on things with my friends and family. And like I have to mentally prepare for that.
Yeah.
Financially, just make sure that I'm still being smart and like I'm making sure like are things being paid on time? Am I paying things on time? Do I have everything? Am I allocating things to the right accounts? And like, am I giving myself time to rest instead of just saying yes to every wedding in September? It's like, hey, do I need a
Right.
Saturday off? Like, do I need to allocate more time for travel? Like I wasn't prepared for how to prepare for that. I could only see like book me, choose me, pick me. And then you get there and you're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
dying.
No, I totally understand that. I think that because my story was similar in that. So my timeline must have been wrong when I said earlier that we were like 6 months apart on going full time because Zach
Hmm.
and I moved to Charleston in January or in December. And so very similar to you, like I
Yeah.
started a business in a new place in December. Who did
Yeah.
I think I was? Like,
Yeah.
why was that a good idea in my mind?
Yeah. In a
And it was the
coastal
same thing,
town.
like in a coastal town. Yeah. It took me longer than I would like to admit to have a paying client, because
Yeah.
I was just doing free shoots. I was like, please just tag me. Like, I was doing all the things in order to sustain what I thought I needed to do in order to get
Hmm.
business, and it worked for both of us. And so like
Hmm.
not complaining too much about that. It was just a really wild decision that we both had.
Hmm.
But I think the thing that I really learned through all of that and that I for the most part have down now for the most part is like that I need to have really strict boundaries in busy season and
Hmm.
very loose boundaries in slow season.
Mm,
And
that's good.
like that's okay to change my boundaries based on the time of year, but I think it's so important like what you said, Lindsay, of like having your friends and family know that like those boundaries might change because like in
Hmm.
busy season you said like if I'm taking every client here, then my friends and family take a back seat to that.
Hmm.
And if that's your decision during busy season, that's fine. If your boundary is friends and family, I can't see you as much because I need to make money, that's an okay thing to say. But to
Hmm.
prepare yourself mentally, like you said, but then also to prepare your friends and your family mentally for some of those things, I think is really smart. Because, like, something that I really dealt with was like moving here in slow season, starting the business. People just honestly thought I didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I'm at home and if they wanted to grab lunch, all they had to do is call me and be like, hey, like I'm 5 minutes away. Do you want to go grab lunch today? And I'd be
Hmm.
like, yeah, sure. Cause I was just excited to
Yeah.
see people. You know what I mean? Like, sure. But then when they would ask me in busy season, I'm like, I can't, I'm swamped. And I
Hmm.
think they had a hard time with that where it's like, what do you mean you're swamped? Like, you don't have a photo shoot today. And I'm like, no, you don't get
Right.
it. And so like preparing yourself for both, I think is super, super wise.
Yeah.
Okay, Lindsay, anything else before we end out?
I don't think so. I think it's just like a reminder for if anyone's watching and you find yourself like in this position of like maybe you're new and just going full time and it's like, oh, this is helpful, or maybe you're like looking back. I think it's just I'm constantly reminding myself that like we have like one of the coolest jobs in the world. And like there's a lot of
Yeah.
things of like learning, but there's also so many things that I'm so grateful for that like I wouldn't trade. And like,
Yep.
sometimes if you're coming from a different industry or for a different field and then things feel different, like take what me and Alex both worked in ministry. We're both very social people. We knew how to work with people well. Like take your strengths and weaknesses from other fields and apply it to your business now and you'll just like watch it flourish. So don't think that like I was compartmentalizing myself for so long of like, and then this is a version of myself. And it's like, no, this is just like
Yes.
me expanding into something new. It's not
Yeah.
Lindsay the camera girl versus Lindsay the marketing girl. It's like they were fluid and they tie together and I can let them intertwine together. And that's like where I've seen the most success.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, this, we've talked about this before, but I felt the exact same way. And
Hmm.
I definitely think that like I feel a lot more like aligned in just being one person, not like I have to have this, even just Instagram. I have to
Hmm.
have this photography Instagram and this personally. Like, no, I'm
Hmm.
just Alex. You're
Just
just
Alex.
Lindsay.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right. Tell everyone where they can find you and follow you and go hang out with you.
You can find me at Lindsay Crawford Photo. You can go to lindsaytakespictures.com. That's my website. Yeah, I'd love to be friends. Let's hang out. Let's chat. Let's be friends. Let's build this community.
I love it. Okay. Well, I love you guys and I will see you guys next week. Mwah. Bye.
Mwah. Bye.